Hello there, I'm Dr. John Rex, and obviously I'm not in front of the usual fireplace. Tonight we're in New York City, where we're going to go and see one of the performances of Lifeline, the musical, the stage story of the lifetime of Sir Alexander Fleming, the discovery of penicillin, and the mold that changed the world. I'm really excited about this show because of the way it tells the story of antimicrobial resistance. We didn't have drugs, and then we did have drugs, and then they stopped working. Very emotional, very powerful storytelling. I've actually never seen the entire show before, but I have seen excerpts from it, and I know it's actually rather a tearjerker, so I'm looking forward to seeing the whole show.
From May 29, found the culture you sent to a colleague nearby. They confirmed.
I'm here today with Robin Hiley, who is the composer-lyricist who invented the idea of the story of Sir Alexander Fleming in music. Robin, where did this idea come from?
It came from a infectious diseases doctor, Dr. Megan Perry. She's a doctor in Edinburgh in the Western General and works for Edinburgh University as well. And she had heard about our work because she actually trained with my other half, who's a doctor as well. And she came to me and said, wouldn't it be great to have a musical about antibiotics and antibiotic resistance? And I looked at her like she had 3 heads. And yeah, but she was persistent, like ID doctors are. And you know, I got to reading about Alexander Fleming and got to reading about the problems of AMR, and thought, you know, there's something in this. And yeah,
fantastic.
7 years later, here we are off Broadway.
It started at the Fringe 2017, 18.
2018.
2018. Yeah. You guys had your initial run of it, and it was a big hit then.
Yeah.
But I know you've been growing it since then. How has the story evolved?
Well, so the show used to be called The Mold That Changed the World, and the first time around it was about 50 minutes long, 50 minutes long at the Fringe, and was a big sellout success. And we thought, right, well, it needs to be longer. There's more to say here. And it sort of turned into a bit of an Alexander Fleming biopic by the time it went back to the Fringe in 2022, and then came over here to DC and to Atlanta. And following on from that, there still seemed to be a lot of appetite for it, but throughout the process we've involved real-life scientists and healthcare professionals, and the stories that we were getting about AMR and how it affects not just their patients' lives but their lives as well, led us to make this quite big decision to pivot a bit and also now tell a modern-day story alongside Alexander Fleming's that really shows why Fleming's discovery has been so important.
So do you need to be a scientist to be able to follow the story, or can an ordinary person enjoy the show?
Absolutely, it is for everybody. I think there'll be moments that scientists will appreciate, but it is for everybody. It really is.
So you're saying there's a few techie bits that the true insiders will appreciate, but
yeah, maybe a few amusing little rhymes here and there, and yeah, a few moments for scientists, but no, it's really about human stories and how AMR affects all of us.
And what is your favorite moment in the whole show?
My favorite moment? Well,
I know that may be tough to pick a favorite, but
I guess as a writer, I think my favorite moment is a scene that we have where the character Julian, who is actually a SPAD, as we say in the UK, a special advisor, works in government, we get him to this situation where he has to explain in song the global impact of AMR. So and the scene works beautifully well. It's not in the least bit like it sounds. It talks about the drugs are in the water, the drugs are in the ground, and we look at little sort of vignettes, if you like, little stories from around the world of how AMR is sort of affecting us all.
I'll say I've not yet seen the show. I actually missed it in DC because I had COVID, so I couldn't go. But I've heard you perform vignettes from it, and that song just really blew me away. It's a real tearjerker.
Right. Yeah. Oh well. You wait until you hear Robbie sing it tonight.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Thank you very much for giving us a few minutes before the show tonight.
Pleasure.
I'm really glad we could intercept you. And for those of you who are watching, please, please, please make your way to New York City and see the show. You've got until the 28th of September to get tickets and come and see this fantastic musical.
And you can listen to it on Apple and Spotify, etc., as well. Just look up lifelinemusical.com and all the info is there.
We'll put that link below. All right. So Robin, thank you. Looking forward to the show tonight.
Yeah.
We really appreciate everything you're doing to help spread the word about the importance of taking good care of antibiotics.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a couple of days now since I saw the show, and I waited until I got home to record some thoughts because, gosh, the show was so intense. It took a little while to process it. We've got two love stories that involve Scottish physicians who are struggling to take care of their patients. Sir Alexander Fleming in the 1920s, a modern-day physician, really quite modern day, 100 years later. And both of them bump up against the same challenge. The system is difficult to move, and penicillin was so attractive, it made such a difference when it came out that everybody wanted to use it, including in lipstick, which comes out in one of the songs. And the way that this comes together to teach the story of how misuse of drugs leads to resistance is brought together in Act 2 by a really surprising song that is sung by a government official who is talking about how he understands the challenge, but it's really difficult to get people to not use antibiotics. And he says, the title of the song, I've done all that I can. And it's worth listening to a little bit of that song. Here we go.
A fish farmer is struggling, has hungry mouths to feed. A family with 7 kids relying on his proceeds. In a river full of filth, his fish can only grow and breed if he doses them with drugs within their feed. He sells the fish at market in the local town. The price keeps falling down and down. You cannot really blame him, but the outcome is profound. The drugs are in the water, the drugs are in the ground. A woman 9 months pregnant in the hospital downstream. The baby's breech, you can't push him out. Don't worry, this is routine. The C-section goes well, she's given drugs to guarantee an infection won't stop her recovery. The drugs don't work 'cause the bugs have learned from the water all around. The mother dies and now she's in the ground. The spiral of resistance spinning round and round. 'Cause the drugs are in the water, the drugs are in the ground.
So there you have it, in song, the story of antimicrobial resistance encapsulated. We've got food security, the fish farmer who wants to raise fish to feed his family and feed us, uses antibiotics, creates resistance, kills a pregnant lady. And the government official goes on to comment in the song about it's a huge problem. All this stuff is in tension. There are billions of people who want to eat and also who want to use antibiotics. And I've done all that I can. The name of the song, I've done all that I can. If you will, this is a comment that sort of picks up the whole theme that we've been debating about antimicrobial resistance for the last several decades, ever since the call to arms with the Bad Bugs, No Drugs publication. We've been asking the question, how do we have antibiotics available and use them wisely and have a steady stream of new ones? And the problem is further driven home in the show by two other elements. One is that what's unveiled at the very end of the show is that the chorus, there are about 10 folks who have actually been wearing medical things and name badges that look like they came right out of a hospital. Well, actually they did. These are real-life medical professionals who were in the show as the chorus, and we've heard from them during the entire show little pieces of their lived experience with antimicrobial resistance. Patients that they've taken care of, some of whom have done okay and some of whom didn't do so well. Then the final thing that occurs that really changes the way you perceive the show is that the show does not end in a standard fashion. It doesn't end with everybody standing up to applaud and then marching out of the theater. Instead, we do our applauding a little bit earlier, but then the lead actress sits down in front of the stage and says, okay, We got to talk about AMR. She breaks down the fourth wall, but she actually just rips it to shreds when she says, this is a problem here and now, right now, that all of us are involved in. And we're going to have a little Q&A. So there's maybe about 10 minutes worth of back and forth with a few members of the cast about what can you do about antimicrobial resistance. And there was actually someone who quite appropriately said, well, where do I send my check? What do I do? Which is indeed what all of us are currently doing, is to work on ways to address this problem, to have new antibiotics. And so it's quite exciting to have this show during the run-up to the UN General Assembly, during the run-up to the high-level meeting, and to have this show end by not ending. It ends by saying, you're part of this problem along with everybody else, and you need to act. So do what you can. Talk to your government officials. Get your elected representatives aware of this thing. If you're involved in drug R&D, well, get busy. Quit listening to this and go discover something. You know, all of that stuff is wrapped up in this show. So, again, extraordinary experience. It was very powerful, very emotional. I encourage you to get over there and see the show if you possibly can. And take a large box of tissue. It is strong. It's very powerful. So, Lifeline, the musical. Go see it if you possibly can. You can listen to it, links below. Tell the story. Get out there and do something about antimicrobial resistance. Thank you for listening.